Now, the next property that we're going to get into is going to help with data entry. We want to assist any users that get in here to input records. This is going to help control errors. As users are inputting data into our table, we want to make sure that one, they're inputting the data that we're looking for, and two, they're inputting it in correctly. If we do this at the very beginning of designing our database, this is going to save us huge headaches down the road. Imagine if we put zero validation on our table and we allowed multiple users into here to input our data. Well, as an example, we might get to phone number and we might find that people are entering phone numbers multiple different ways. Some people are using dashes, some people are using parentheses, people are using periods. It's just all over the place. Let's make sure that we're consistent in the way that we allow and expect the data to be input into our table. So the property that we're going to take a look at here is called the input mask. Take a look. So I get into a record and I jump over to the phone number field. Now, as I start entering the phone number, right now I can type it in any way that I want to. I could use hyphens, I could use a period. It really doesn't matter. Access doesn't care. It'll allow me to input that data any way that I want to. Well, instead of that, I want the users to jump into the field, and as they start to type in the phone number, we should have a little input style or a predefined format on how we want that input into our table. This is the input mask. So I'm going to jump into my design view. I'm going to hit my escape key there. That was required, the first name, last name. So I'll get into my design view. Now I'm inside the phone number field, and I'm going to go down into the properties. I'm looking for the one called input mask. Now, built into every copy of Microsoft Access, the input mask property has a wizard. There's some predefined input masks already built for us. All we have to do is select it through the wizard. Take a look. Input mask, I'm going to go to the three little dots, and this will open up the input mask wizard. Now, these are all the predefined input masks already built into the system, built into Access. So you can see we got phone number, great, social security, zip code, extension, password, and a few date and time values as well. So I'm going to grab the phone number one. Down below, this is what the input mask looks like. So I click into the input mask try it box, or back into the field that we're creating this for, the phone number field, and right away it already gives me the parentheses and it already gives me the hyphen. So I can start banging out a phone number here, 555, 555, 5555. There's my phone number, and it's already formatted. It's got the space, the parentheses, the hyphen, done. Now, this is great for North America. If we're looking over into Europe or various other countries, this input mask may not fit your phone number. Well, in the next lecture, we'll take a look at creating a custom format as well within an input mask. These right here, this is specific to my system. I'm using it here inside of North America, so this is my input mask. You crack open Microsoft Access and you might see other ones in there as well. So this fits my needs. I can hit next. This is what the input mask, this is kind of the characters that define the input mask. Make it up. This is the way that Access looks at it in the back end. What we see is the try it box. But in order to get the parentheses, the hyphen, the space, and the required characters, they use these characters here. So you can see that I've got the parentheses, I've got the space, the hyphen, those are great. But then I've got a series of nines and I've got zeros there. Now, each of the characters in here means something specific to Access, to the input mask. The zeros, those are required numeric values. You have to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 characters, 7 numeric characters in a phone number. At bare minimum, those are required. The nines, I've got 3 nines, that represents the area code. Those are optional. If I want to make the complete phone number required, then I'll change those nines to zeros. Right there. Now, when I try it, it still looks the same, but later on, the complete value is now required. If somebody tries to leave the area code empty, It's going to bark at them. It's going to let them know. Now down below, I've got the placeholder character that represents where the numbers will show up in the field. It's an underscore. But I can change that. For me personally, I actually like the pound or the hashtag. This way a user can look at it and they know, one, they're numeric. Two, they can see how many characters are actually in there. So I'll change my placeholder to the pound symbol. I'm going to hit next. Now this is our last step. It wants to know whether or not we want to store the data, meaning store the phone number in this case, with or without the symbols, meaning the parentheses, the hyphen, whatever you're using in there. Now the first time I saw this, I thought, well, this is weird. Isn't that the reason why I'm creating the input mask? To have the symbols? You know, I want it formatted a specific way. Well, inside of Access, either choice is going to give you the same results. You jump into a control, whether it's in a table, a form, or wherever, you're going to see the parentheses and the hyphen or whatever characters you're using. But if you export the data, you export it to Excel, you export it to a text file, to some other system, then this comes into play. If you want to export it with the symbols, then you're going to want to make sure that you select the first option. Store it with the symbols in the mask like this. Otherwise, you can do it without. Now, sometimes other systems will do its own validation and its own formatting. So in that case, you may not want the symbols. So that's something you're going to have to decide. You're going to have to look at your other systems where are you going to potentially share this information and find out whether or not that system will be okay with the symbols or without them. So I'll leave that choice up to you. I'm going to leave it default without, and I'll hit next. And that's it. It's all the wizard needs. Great. I'm going to go ahead and finish. And I've now got my input mask right here. All those little characters. Zeros I put in there. If you left the nines, great. I got my parentheses, my hyphen, and so on. The little pound symbol is my placeholder character. There's my input mask. Now, if I go out and view my table, data sheet view, I'll go ahead and save the change I just made. I'm going to tab on over. Tab, 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 tab. Get to the phone number. Now, I don't see it right now. There's no parentheses, no hyphen. But the moment I start typing, 555, 555, there it is. I've now got the input mask for my phone number field. Again, creating consistency in the data entry in the records itself. Rather than relying on the user to determine how it should be done, you're requiring it to be done a specific way. Now we can keep doing this. I'm going to hit my tab key or my escape key a couple times just to wipe that record out. We could do it for the dates. We could do it for the, what else do we got inside there? I don't have a zip code. You know, maybe I want to add a zip code inside of there or postal code, and I need those to be a specific way. So let's see, I'll go to state. I'm going to right click and I'm going to insert a row, and I'll insert a postal code. We'll leave that as short text. But now I can do an input mask for that one. You know, here, where I currently live, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 characters that make up our postal or our zip codes. So maybe I want to require all 5 of those characters. Well, I can do that through the input mask. My neighbors to the north, right up in Canada, they've got a mix of alphanumeric postal codes with a hyphen in there. And then I can get in there and I can create an input mask for that. Okay, so try this out. Get in, create one at least for the phone number. They got a nice setup in there for you to do that. Just part of the wizard. It's already built for you. You just select it, and with a little bit of information, it's done. Try it for a postal code, for a zip code. Try it out for a date. You know, whatever you think would serve better if it had some predefined formatting. Create an input mask.